sports columnist. He's with us every Monday, and he's with the sports guys throughout the week. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, McGraw. How's it going?
Good. How bad are the Reds going to be this summer?
Oh, man, not a lot of hope right there. And shockingly, a managerial change did not spark the Reds to life. I'm stunned by that. Why they brought Brian Price into this season, I'm not sure. Why they brought him on that road trip just to fire him, I don't know. But, yeah, not a very good team. But, look, I mean, the Cardinals couldn't beat the Reds last season consistently, and they weren't a very good team then either. So I don't know what this means for the Cardinals other than that they're going to be able to hopefully chew up on some bottom feeders. That was something they couldn't always do last season.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of teams can, you always have those quirky seasons where you can beat the big guys, but you can't beat the bad guys. What are the Reds purposely tanking, or are they doing this by accident?
No, this is an accident, and it actually is. That's sad because what they've done is they put all their bets on young pitching, and it hasn't panned out. They needed to start developing pitchers. They have a good lineup, a decent lineup. They have Joey Votto, who's an MVP caliber player. They just don't have any semblance of a rotation that can get them very far into games, and you see why the Cardinals have made it a point to really develop in-house pitching, and why that's so valuable. When the Reds talk about what they want to do, it sounds a lot like what the Cardinals have done. And you see why having internal pitching options is so important, because when you don't, you're left with short starts. You're left with an overloaded bullpen. It doesn't matter how good your lineup is; you can't win very many games.
Yeah, is Jockey still running things over in Cincinnati?
Yeah, he's still there. I think this is not something that I don't know that people are trying to debate about who gets the blame and all these things. And Brian Price, I don't know that he's a great manager, but I don't know that he's as bad as his record indicates either. I think this is just a problem of not having the pitching that you need to contend at the major league level. I mean, they've got some good players. They've got a lineup that can jump up and bite you. The Cardinals saw that last season, but when you're just throwing guys at the rotation or trying to hold on with guys who are too far past their prime, and you don't have anybody coming up through the internal ranks, you're going to have some games, a lot of games that get away from you.
Yeah. What do you make of Fowler batting fifth?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's probably in love with the idea. It certainly sounded like he was a little unhappy with how he found out about it. He sounded like he wanted some sort of big caucus about moving him from the leadoff spot, but instead he got a text. To me, he needs to get some hits before he starts complaining too much about moving around in the lineup. The Cardinals are going to have to try to tweak some things if they can't get the top of the lineup going. I've always been an advocate of Matt Carpenter staying there, especially after last season when you saw Dexter perform okay down the lineup. I don't know why it is, but I'm fully of the belief that Matt Carpenter's just better at leadoff. Now, that's what the numbers show, so maybe that's not the case, and maybe I'm just looking too much at the splits. But to me, it's a better look for this team when Matt Carpenter's at the top. So I think Dexter is probably more comfortable there as well. It's certainly where he's been most of his career. But if he's not hitting, then guys are going to get moved around a little bit. You're past the point in the season where you lock it in and leave it alone, even if guys aren't producing. And the Cardinals have seen some results as they've changed some things around. So Fowler could be on the move. I think if everybody's healthy, you could probably see him back up there. But he's got to get going.
Well, here's what I don't understand. Maybe you can explain it to me. So as a brilliant sports columnist, maybe you've thought about this, you and your scribes out there, and can explain it to us simple-minded folk back here. And that is this. If you're a player, whether you're in Pee-wee T-ball or you're a professional baseball player, right? I understand you want certain guys batting first or second or third or ninth or fifth. You need guys batting behind you, guys to get on in front of you, right? All those things. But if you're the player, why do you care if you bat first or eighth, right? Aren't you all trying to do the same thing, whether you're batting first or eighth, depending on the situation? And it doesn't matter when you get up to bat.
Well, it matters really. It really should only matter the first time through the lineup, and then it's all just kind of where you are in the game.
Right.
But and that's easier said than done. Different spots on the lineup are historically supposed to do different things. If you're hitting the leadoff, you're supposed to get on base. If you're hitting third or fourth, then you're supposed to be a power supplier. You're supposed to drive in those guys who get on base ahead of you. Now, this is changing some as we learn more about lineups, and really there's an argument that you put your best hitters, start with your best hitter and go down because those guys are going to get the most at bat.
Right.
It's kind of a new wave of thinking about this, but I think what we're talking about here is just comfort. And does it always make sense? No. But if you've been a guy who that's the spot that you've hit in for years and years, then it's oftentimes hard to switch. I mean, it would kind of be like, I guess, I try to compare it to maybe something that we can relate to. And I don't like comparing, average Joes
right.
to baseball players. We're not professional athletes. But if all of a sudden you were doing a show in a different time slot,
right,
it might take you a while to adjust, right? Or you
right.
might not like it. I mean,
right.
if you do the show at 5 p.m., it might not feel right.
Well, no.
That's kind of what you see in there a little bit.
But hold on a second. It's a great point you're making. But when I'm on the air at 5, I'm not going to do a worse show. I'm not going to, right? I'm still going to try and do the same show I do in the morning. Dexter Fowler's batting 5th in the first inning. He might be batting leadoff more times in a game than the actual leadoff guy.
Yes, correct.
Right.
That could happen.
Right.
But you also, and yeah, you would obviously you would not want to do a worse show, but you might until you get used to it, or if you're out of your comfort zone for days. Not that you personally would ever do a bad
That's
show,
exactly right. Thank you for the clarification.
Right,
yes.
right. Let me check that. But I think it's just, guys get in comfort zones. Guys start to overthink things. I mean, they are humans. It's what Tony La Russa always said. Don't forget they're not robots. They have weird tics. They have preferences. They have things they like. Dexter Fowler's case is that he came here to be a center fielder and a leadoff hitter, and now there's a chance down the line that he could be neither.
Right.
Now, Dexter took it in stride. He says, look, I'm happy to be in the lineup with the way I'm hitting. I don't think he was thrilled with the way he found out, but that's baseball. He'll get over it.
Yeah.
I think as long as this team's winning, then guys are going to be willing to move around.
I get it.
I don't think what you saw is locked in stone, but I do think you're past the point where you're going to keep putting the same thing out there every day and just hoping all of a sudden it catches. They've got to find a way to get something going at the top.
Well, and I understand there's a fine line between the manager wants to put the best lineup out there, right? Who hits behind who's better at getting off the I get the jockeying of the lineup, and fans love to talk lineup, which I do too. It's fantastic. But the player, let me put it into your court. Do you care if your brilliant column runs on the left side of the page, the right side of the page? Maybe you'd really like to have it on the front page, but, it's so, right? Do you write a worse or better column depending on where it is placed in the newspaper?
Well, we often don't know where it's going to be when we turn it in, right?
Right.
But yeah, part of you, there's certainly a competitive element that you want it to be out front. You want it to be in a prime spot, right? That means that you think they thought the most of it. Usually, it's how that works. So you're tackling the most important topic or things of that nature. So yeah, I think there is that element to that. Now, you certainly don't try to write differently depending on if you know it's going to go, somewhere else. And I don't think any of these guys are trying to do that. I don't think it's that. It's certainly when you talk about guys who hit better in different spots, it's not that concentrated. And Matt Carpenter swears, and we can get into the debate about this, but Matt Carpenter swears that this he can only hit at leadoff thing is a fluke.
Oh.
And there have been multiple times where he feels like he's catching his rhythm. He's starting to come out of his slide, and that's when he gets moved to leadoff, and then he takes off, and then it just kind of reinforces the stereotype.
So hold on. So he actually agrees with me.
He does.
Yeah.
Yes. Now the career numbers certainly suggest something different for him. Now this is one of the biggest debates in Cardinals baseball. Now I'm of the mindset that you look at a guy who's at this point in his career, and you look at some of the stellar numbers that he's put up, and you just say, look, the guy hits better at leadoff. We don't know why it is, and sometimes you don't need to know why it is. At some point, I think the discussion goes from talking about what Matt Carpenter can be somewhere else to, hey, this guy's in the later stages of his career. Let's let him do what he's really good at. And I just think Fowler seems to have a better power profile, and so you could move him down the lineup. Now you're sacrificing some speed there at the top,
right.
But Matt Carpenter hits doubles or home runs. He's not exactly a singles hitter. He's going to be on second base by the time someone is behind him to move him along, and he can score from second base on a hit. So
right.
To me, I think it may be a little bit of overthinking here. At some point, at winter meetings, Mike Matheny said that they had to acknowledge the numbers. And then spring started, and all of a sudden it was, we're crazy if we think Matt Carpenter should hit leadoff. So I don't know that this is set in stone. This past couple lineups have come with Tommy Pham out, so that moves some things around a little bit. They've moved Jose Martinez up, which that is a very good idea because that means more prime at bats for Jose Martinez and more at bats, period. He's one of the best. He's leading. Get this, McGraw. I don't know if you're an OPS guy, but it's on base plus slugging percentage. What you want to have out of your hitters. He's leading, as of last week, he's leading all of Major League Baseball in OPS at first base, which I don't know how many people outside of St. Louis would guess that Jose Martinez is doing that.
Right.
But he's been dominant every time he gets into the box, so they had to find him more at bats. So if that shuffles some things around, good, because that's an actual move that everybody should agree on.
I think the player should care more about who's batting behind him than what place in the order he's actually batting.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's easier said than done.
No, I get it. I get it, the ego and everything else. But I would rather have Albert Pujols behind me batting ninth than, batting first and having the pitcher bat second.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And certainly they're all trying and they're all giving their
plus
effort. Some guys are just weird, man.
Well, all I know is Gilbert Banyan's wrong for stuffing you in the back. You need to be on the front page all day, every day. It's outrageous.
Yes, right. And you've never done a bad show.
No, I haven't done a good show. See, that's the difference. Ben, have a good week. Thanks for checking in.